it's Will Shannon here, and I don't know if you've ever heard that saying, physician, heal thyself, but I want you to know that the first person that you need to lead is yourself. You know, if you've got nobody who's following you, you know, nobody that you can influence, the first person you influence, the first person you lead is yourself. I want you to remember one thing for as long as you live out of anything that I ever say to you. The one thing is this: the messenger is everything, and the message is nothing. Alright, let me give an example. You want to lift weights, and you want to be, you know, the biggest person in town. Who are you going to pay attention to? It doesn't matter what someone's body type is, or what someone's genetic patterning is, or how much protein. Even if someone's got a genetic advantage, it doesn't matter. You still want to see, you know, the biggest person. You know, if you want plastic surgery, you look at the celebrity whose face looks perfect. You go, I want to see that person. Do you know what I mean? Or, you know, if you want to learn singing, you know, there's lots of people who can sing, but would you rather learn from the famous singer who you really love, or the person who is more technically gifted, who's teaching singing on the street corner? The message is nothing. The messenger is everything. So, with that said, you need to become the sort of messenger that no matter what's happened to you in your life, you need to overcome it. It doesn't matter what's happened to you physically, what's happened to you emotionally, what's happened to you spiritually. You need to own yourself in that moment, don't you? You need to be a strong person in that moment, or no one's going to want to follow you. No one's going to be able to be influenced by you. And when I say being a leader, I mean leaders go first. Leaders go first. Leaders are the first ones to leave and the last ones to go. Leaders are the first one to practice and the last ones to leave. If you're a leader, you work harder than anyone. You may be entertaining, but you may have seen Richard Branson, who's the legendary billionaire who currently is the owner of the Virgin Group. If you've read any of his books, or ever had the chance to meet him or see him talk, he always talks about work hard, play hard. You know, I'm not a big fan of playing hard. I believe you need to be balanced, but certainly in the context of working, he works very hard. Now, I'm not telling you to be imbalanced. I'm not telling you to work hard either. I'm just saying that the person that it starts with is you, and you make sure that you're the sort of messenger that we all know how to eat right. We all know how to exercise to some level. We all know about caring for people, but you know, if someone shows up really, and I'm being incredibly respectful, but if your body is not where even you want it to be because you haven't been able to influence yourself, people are going to say to themselves in their head, even if they don't say it, why would I want to learn from this person? You know, like what have they got to teach me? You know, so it's really, really, really important that you embody the message. Now, the other thing I want to tell you is that when you embody that message, you always stay cool in a crisis, no matter how hard that crisis is. You know, it doesn't matter if things are falling down around you. The more intense the situation, the more calm you get. Now, in your personal life, we're all going to have things that push us to the edge. And most of those things are going to be based around a sense of loss. When we lose things, it's devastating. It could be, but the hardest thing for most of us is when we lose love. And to a lesser extent, security and, you know, people who value us as well. But love is the currency that will devastate someone when it's gone. Because, you know, we all love everyone, don't we? At some level, we all care about our fellow man, but there's very few people that make it through those filters that will disarm you, that will enable you, you know, that will make a shift in how you feel just with a look in their eyes, that you could just see that person and your whole being will magnify and change. So when you see someone where that happens, it might be a spouse, it might be a parent, it could be a child, it could be a family member, a colleague, or someone you admire on television. And I'm here to tell you that, you know, whether I'm with you, or whether God's with you, or whether someone's with you, there's always someone with you. You're never taking the journey alone, which means that you need to always step up. Man, no matter how bad that crisis is, if you're in any sort of leadership position. The more influential the person, the more calm you get. The more devastating the circumstances, the more cool that you stay. And in that moment, if you're cool and you can keep loving someone and you stay calm so that you have access to the best mental resources that you have possible. Because, you know, it doesn't matter if you're witnessing someone in a traffic accident. The first step to all first aid is to tell the person that it's going to be absolutely all right. Now, if someone's presenting in your office and they've got an incurable illness, you might need to be real with that person. But in a first aid situation, an emergency situation, the first thing out of your mouth, even if in your heart isn't true, you say, hey, everything's going to be completely fine. I'm here, it's handled, we're going to handle this, you relax, it's going to be gone soon. So you let them know it's going to be all right, and you shorten the future. A real great psychological technique, if someone is, worried about the future or going through pain, you shorten that, you change their perception of how soon it's going to be over. People have to know that tomorrow is better than today. Tomorrow. Even though that's metaphorical for the future, it needs to feel like tomorrow is going to be better than today. We can't know that it's going to be better in 10 years, but we got to go through ups and downs. That's not what people need to hear. People need to know that you're here and tomorrow is better than today. So no matter what happens, you don't flinch, you stay calm. If someone's in a first aid situation, you step up and you handle that. And I can't tell you, situations I've been in where, someone will look at you and they'll shut their eyes and they'll fall unconscious, even though that's the last thing that you wanted them to do in that moment, because they looked at you and they trusted you. And they knew, every ounce of their brain and body knew that even though they were out, there's a soul in front of me and I don't think I'm going to get hurt while this person's around. Why? Because of certain belief systems that you give to people. So that's really some of the main things that I wanted to talk to you about today. So a little quick recap, a couple of takeaways. The messenger is everything and the message is nothing. So you refine the message, but I'll tell you what, there's going to be lots of people around the world who rip my message off. As this goes around, there's lots of people who take people's stuff word for word. If you're Richard Branson, you're a billionaire, people are going to use your material in a self-help seminar word for word, but they're not actually out there getting the results. And we all get a little bit seduced, don't we? So you really want to model people getting the results. Most people make money off how to be wealthy and build businesses, and their primary stream of income is education. Education should be one arm. You should be actually be able to, run a business and do things as well before you're educating. You should be able to run a naturopathic clinic before you're teaching how to do it. You should be able to be not just a technically proficient singer, but be able to position yourself. Remember I said in the video on your trade, you be the best, but then you know how to position that. You could be, your trade could be knitting. You could be the best person who knits on earth, but is that relevant? Is that able to be monetized right now? Is that the right industry to be on? And have you positioned yourself in a way where you've branded yourself as a product in your category that people are going to turn to? Because people need consistency. People need certainty. People need to know when they part with the money or they come see you that they're going to get a result every time, or it scares people. So remember I said, please be the messenger, have a strong message, but you need to embody that. And it doesn't matter what's going on in your life, how bad it is, no matter what's happened to you, you step up, and I guarantee you someone's out there got it worse. And the other thing is I want to tell you is always be really, really cool. No matter how bad that situation, you can go home and you can fall apart later. You can go home and everything could break apart later in that moment. You could be devastated, but in the moment, that's when you need to stay strong. You need to stay strong. And then when everything, when you're away from the spotlight, you can go and let everything settle. But, singers can lose their voice. In that 3 hours, they can pull a magnificent show. Then they have to go lay in bed for 3 days. But in that 3 hours, their adrenal glands and every system in their body was able to pull that energy. So I just encourage you, no matter how intense the situation, pull the depths out of your soul in those moments that matter. Make sure you step up and deliver. And the more pressure the situation, the more calm and the more effective that you get. And that's the mark of a great athlete, a great sports figure, a great politician, a great business person. If you really want to be world class in your field, people turn to people in crisis because anyone can do a job. Anyone can play a game of football, but people who can do it consistently at the top level when the pressure's on is people that perform. And the way that you perform consistently is you learn to enjoy challenge. Challenge doesn't scare you. It's not like you go, oh my God, you're not focused on all the comebacks for yourself. Do you know what I mean? You care for somebody the way you would. When your child's dying, you're not saying, oh shit, man, what if that child sues me? What if my own child's, you just do whatever it takes to get that person well. If you love someone, you'll go across the room and do whatever it takes to get through to that person. No matter how scary it is, no matter how bad it is, you will get as calm as you possibly can. And there's going to be no moments where you're going to feel anxious, because fear is always going to be there. Fear is part of the human nervous system. It does not go away. So fear is not something that you can ever get rid of, but fear is something you can dance with, you can move with, you can hang on to, you can take with you. So embrace your fear and know it's going to be there, but you get as calm as you possibly can. And in that moment, your attention's on that person, and all you're doing is what's in their absolute best interests.